find new information. You know, the stuff you find online is quite heavily censored around finding any information that goes against the globe Earth. So we've been trying to find somewhere that we can get some reliable information and somewhere we can talk to other like-minded people about this topic.
Yeah, no worries, gentlemen. This is a premier forum for this type of conversation. So we want to make sure that everybody's questions are answered. Like I said, I want to let you guys ask us a question, which is the forum and the people that run this forum, and we can respond to those questions or actually ask you guys some questions that would be leading us to a better dialogue for the Shape of the Earth conversation. So I'm just gonna, because he hasn't spoken yet. Snef, I just unmuted you. If you'd like to say, hey, what's up or whatever. But your boy Washbosh was saying that you came with him.
Yeah, I came in with him. Pretty much what he said. How we're skeptical of what we're taught and how that's not actually matching up with what we're seeing. So we decided to come here.
All right, some people, well, because of the subject matter, think that this subject is a troll, right? I'm just going to give you a heads up on that. Like this place here has been curated to know that if somebody's coming in with that kind of attitude, we have swift ways that we deal with that. So if you guys are inquisitive, we're going to answer those questions. Okay. So make sure that if you do have something in your mind of how you think the Earth is working, as if it's not a globe and that, just ask us. We'll tell you. And there's a lot of great minds in here.
Sorry.
Whoever has a question, whoever has you, Washbosh, or Damn Sam, if you have a question, you can ask that question. Let the forum respond to you. Okay.
So my main question was, you the speaker, what is your personal belief about the shape of the planet or where the planet is placed in the universe or the solar system?
The cosmology aspect, right? So what is this? What is this whole thing? Well, we would describe it as the floor of everything that there is. So imagine a cosmology that you have right now. It's built upon this preconceived notion that you're in a ever expanding cosmos, right? With planets and black holes and all kinds of stuff, items like erase that from your mind just for a moment, right? I'm going to start from a clean slate. So think about the Earth being the ground level of everything that there is. So the floor, right? It's the floor of the universe. So everything that's above us, that's all that there is. We can't travel to those places because we live in an enclosed system. I'm going to give you an idea of what this looks like in your mind, okay? As far as the shape of that enclosure, we don't know. This forum doesn't claim that. But there has been speculations as it being a dome or some sort of like firmament or covering, but we don't speculate in that in this forum. We go directly on what can be measured, tested, and proven. So this forum is built on people who are, for all intents and purposes, empiricists. So you have to test, repeat the test, and falsify the information. You can verify the things that we tell you. So everything that we're going to talk about here in this forum is going to give you great information to verify what we're saying. So there's a lot. I'm going to just make a quick distinction because, like I said, we're the floor of everything that there is. Like right now, we're standing on Earth. Earth is the foundation, right? So all that there is above us, the stars, the lights in the sky, we're just going to tell you that we don't know what they are. We can't ever travel there. Are the other planets flat? We're going to say we don't know what they are. If they're physical, metaphysical, we don't know. What we do know is what can be discovered from the place that you're on, which is tangible Earth, which, where you're walking upon, and you can go places here on Earth. These places that are known to us, we can examine those places. Mm-hmm. So there isn't an ever expanding universe. We don't know what's outside of this enclosed system. We just know what's here where we're at. As far as like going to other places outside of this system, it's not possible if you're in an enclosed system because you can't go outside of the thing that you're in. And if there's an edge, like if you go walking to like a flat surface and then you reach the end point where there's like you fall off into whatever, we don't claim that thing because nobody can discover that thing. What we will say is that if you're in an enclosed system, if you're inside of something, you have to go outside of the thing in order to find out what's outside. But we can't go outside because we're inside. It's enclosed. So, and the reason why it's enclosed is because we have gas pressure. So the only way to have gas pressure is to be inside of something that has pressure. And the only way to have pressure is to be inside of an enclosed system. So hopefully I kind of ran through some of the basic ideas, but our specific way we look at the earth as the floor of everything, and the lights in the sky are, we don't say that the distance to them are known. We don't say what they are. We just know that we can visually see, like if I go outside with you, I can see everything that you see. So to us, that's what we see. The representation of what reality is to you and us and me would be the same thing, that I would see the same thing you see. So it's like, I'm not seeing flat planets or whatever. We're just seeing what you see through a telescope and all that kind of stuff. So, okay. So as long as you know, like, this is kind of like where we're coming from. If you have any other questions about that, like, I don't know where you want to go with that stuff, but
so the metaphor I was kind of thinking of is we're kind of like a baby, and we're trying to crawl our way out of I'm not sure if these words are allowed, so I'm gonna use a bit of a slang, but we're trying to crawl our way out of the JJ or the foofy as you might say, and try discover like a new world or a new way of looking at things.
Right. So basically with the glow paradigm, you've been fed stories, explanations, assumptions.
Sorry.
And so if I was to tell you if you were to ask any question about the lore, because just like any good fantasy story, you need lore. So the globe earth is in a cosmic experience, like the idea of it would be filled with lore. So the fantasy of the globe earth has all the trappings of any, good fantasy would have, like all the lore. You got dark matter, dark energy, black holes, galaxies, you got exoplanets, you got you could land on these rocks that are floating around in space. You got space-time, it's just filled with all kinds of lore that can never be understood or attained as far as like human knowledge can achieve. These conceptualizations are something that people have been showing other people, thinking that they're waxing themselves intelligent by talking about these things. But it's like one of those guys who really loves Harry Potter talk about all the things of Hogwarts. And so to us, it's like, how do you know that's true? Have you verified any of that stuff? And people are usually like, no, it's it's space-time, or it's black holes, it's dark matter. It's like, okay, that's great. That's great that somebody told you this information, but have you checked into it? Have you looked into any of that stuff? So that's the crux of the issue, is that you've been fed a story, a narrative that you can't verify. So anything, talk about like, well, what is the moon? How do you know? Well, we got humans that actually landed on it with a rocket. But then you go back to like, well, how can they leave this enclosed system? Because in order to go to that place that they say they go to, you'd have to leave the system, go to land on the moon. Well, we were breathing the air that we're breathing. How is it possible to have gas pressure without a container? Because if that was the case, then all the air that we have here would disperse into the void. Because the natural state would be high pressure always moves to low pressure. And the low pressure of, the vacuum of space would then let the air that we have here kind of rush off into it. So it's not possible to have that concept that you can leave a system if the system itself needs to be has pressurized, and so you need to have a container that holds that system. It's a dynamic system, but yeah, you need a container.
Yeah, no, you'd have to have a physical wall around the world in order to keep the air or anything within.
Well, I wouldn't call it a wall, but it definitely is a container of some sort. So I don't want to give it physicality, or not physicality. Excuse me. I don't want to give it a specific connotation, because giving it a connotation would mean that you have to follow up by. If you said wall, then people would think, well, I know what a wall looks like, and I don't think there's a wall up there. So You have to be very specific with your words in this forum because things like that can. So, but go ahead, you guys. Now that you know, I'm giving you kind of the rundown of the system that we're looking at. So, and it differs. Okay. It differs from the one where people are looking at this disc floating in space. It's not that, gentlemen.
How do you believe the Earth formed, and when did you believe? Do you believe the Earth formed?
Okay.
Interesting question.
So we're always okay. So finding out that the information that we're saying verifies the place that we live to be a created place. So all this is going to tie in once I tell you. So void of religious discussion, this gets into the antecedent of creation. So for the antecedent for creation, all of the things that we see here on Earth, right, like the trees, the animals, the people, would need a creators, because you have to look at it in a way that if information is given by someone who's informing the things that are here, you have to have someone who gives the information and one who receives it. So it's just the idea to say that, okay, so the necessary antecedent for creation would be a creator, right? And we're going to start from the point where if we're examining the Earth in that and through that lens, we're not going to say that it all just happened by nature itself. Nature doesn't spontaneously do things like that, because of the fact that everything that we see has volumes of information inside of it. So definitely a creator. If you're going to burp, please mute your mic. That's pretty disgusting. That's pretty disgusting for all of us to listen to you belch over the mic. So please mute your mic.
Fucking pig.
So anyways, just going to that idea there that we're talking about the necessary antecedent for creation is a creator. Then we're going to talk about, like, if you're asking us, we would say that would be the answer to the creation of all things that we see. So from the beginning, the creator put forth all of these things that we see in creation. That would be the answer that I would give you to the question that you just asked.
So do you believe that it was formed in the biblical time period?
Like I said, void of religion, because there's a lot of narratives, right, with religion.
So you're just like agnostic, like believing in a higher power?
No. I have my own personal stance on this, but I'm telling you from a standpoint of not involving religious text, right? We would say that in any way that you would look at this, it would be a necessary antecedent for creation. You'd need a creator. There's no, you can't get around this. So,
but if you did create it, then are there any processes that continue formation today? Because otherwise it would just be all eroded away. So you must believe in some sort of like system that keeps the planet in its shape and here.
I disagree. Actually, I would say
you're talking about the laws that govern the reality of our existence. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm asking, how would the flat Earth continue to stay as a planet if systems like rain and frost and, well, mainly water that freeze, thaws, and waves that erode, so rock gets eroded over time. So how do you explain the formation of the planet? Because it's got to continue to form to stay alive, or it'd be eroded away.
I would say the way you're formulating that question is not conducive to the way we were talking about the things that are made here now. The processes that we would talk about, the ecosystem, the way it runs, and the laws that govern it. So you have in your mind still this notion that we're talking about some sort of like entity in the vacuum of space. So you refer to like the flat Earth as a planet. Like, still, how is that held together in the void, like in the vacuum of space? So we're saying that's the wrong thinking already.
That's not what I'm thinking.
You said planet, saying, didn't you?
But not planet. But I just mean.
What do you mean?
What would you call it? Because that's the only term I would know to describe it.
I don't know the extent, length, breadth, and width of the entire place that we're living on, so I couldn't tell you what it all is in all-encompassing like idea. What I can
but you're kind of just avoiding the actual main question. The main question is
no. The thing is like that. When I'll say it this way, we can only speak on the things that are known, right? The things that are unknown.
I'm saying something known is that you can visually see erosion in
Yeah.
in the Earth. So how does the Earth continue to form without being eroded away completely or weathered away?
I don't understand how you're. What are you conceptualizing? I don't understand what that question
Yeah, I'm
formulating
not quite
itself into like.
understanding.
How does that eroding? Like, what do you mean? What's eroding?
You don't know
Go
what
ahead and
eroding
tell
or
me.
weathering is?
Y-
It's the
yeah,
breakdown
but
of
I'm
rock.
trying to tell you. Right. So, what are you saying is happening? So you're saying there's it's constant erosion, and we're
No,
just
yeah,
eroding
but
away to.
I'm just asking,
To nothing?
did the creator put in systems to keep it running? Because there must be formation
Yes,
processes still going on today.
It's a dynamic system which continuously operates on a death life cycle. There is,
Death?
there's yeah. So
is that?
entropy, let's say.
What do you mean by that?
You don't know about entropy.
No.
Okay, so what is your knowledge as far as like the laws that govern our reality? I just have to put it out there because there might be some misconceptions. Because even with erosion, I think you have this idea that maybe the Earth being a globe explains that well. And
No,
then you're
it's not.
saying,
It's
well,
not being a no. It's not being a globe. That's not the argument. I'm just asking.
yeah, but what I'm telling you is because you have this conception about erosion, and then you're using that as
that's not a conception. That's an actual thing.
I'm talking about like as a globe.
It's not. It's not
The way
related to
erosion
the globe
works.
at all.
Okay, so why would that be a question then if it's not something that's
No, because I'm asking how does the flat Earth work?
it doesn't. It's what do you mean? How does it work?
Well, how does
That's
it
what I'm
continue to
not
function as a
understanding.
planet? How does it continue to
So
function?
erosion works on
ecosystem?
a planet on the same as it works on a flat Earth. I don't understand what you're talking about, mate.
Yeah, I mean,
Erosion is erosion.
No.
the same thing.
I'm
It's not
asking
making any sense.
how does it continue to form? You got volcanoes. You got is that still all in place?
We still have
Everything-
volcanoes on a flat Earth, you doofus.
Everything's still the same, dude. Like nothing changes. Like it's just your mind of like I even told you this is why I was saying what I was saying. Your mind is still
But
set.
how do volcanoes
Hang on, dude.
form
Hang on
flat Earth?
1 second, Mr. Guy. Hold on. What I'm saying is your conceptualization of the idea is wrapped around a globe, thinking, okay, so if it's not a globe and it's a flat Earth, how is everything still working? Like that's kind of what you're
Yeah.
asking right now.
Yeah, because
we're telling
are
you-
there now layers to the
I
flat Earth?
I know, Sam, I know. But the reason why I'm saying this to you is because you're thinking one way of like, okay, it works on the globe. Now let's look at flat Earth. How does it work on flat Earth? And so your idea of how you're conceptualizing this question is wrong because we've always been existing on this Earth, right? There's no
Yeah.
dichotomy. So let's just erase that. There's no flat or globe. It's just Earth is what it is, right? So as it demonstrates itself to us, we're going to tell you it's always been this way. So we don't have to explain because that's just its natural process. Like what the one you described with erosion, that's always been happening on Earth. But you just thought of it as a planet floating around in the void. So I'm telling you, that was the story that was put in your mind. So now you're trying to build up like this false dichotomy of globe and flat, and there isn't one. There's just only Earth, we've always known it to be. And the processes that happen on the Earth have always been happening on the Earth. And the one you mentioned with erosion has always been taking place. So it's just your conceptualization.
But I'm asking how then does the formation of Earth continue? Because you need volcanoes to continue to renew the crust, and you still need systems like tectonic plates. How is that forming on a?
Do volcanoes still happen regardless of your? Yeah, Timbo just chimed in.
Yeah, but how are you moving this amount of molten rock?
I think you're thinking about it wrong, man. I'll just be 1 minute. Yeah. So just because now it becomes a flat Earth doesn't mean that anything in reality changes. You still have everything that we have here.
I understand.
It just works differently than what you think it works.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. How do they work on a flat Earth?
Well, do you know that all these tectonic plates and everything are true? How have you proven?
I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them myself.
That's true. I haven't seen them.
Yeah, we're making a distinction.
You just got to think of it in a different kind of way. Like it's not.
You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's just make a quick distinction because you said erosion. Now you moved into tectonic plates, and you're
but
lumping. One second, Sam.
is related to the same thing.
Sam. You're lumping everything into the certain things we can discover as like we can work with certain things that you just mentioned. Other things that you just said are things we can't discover. These are other theories and ideas and conceptualizations that people have come up with. So there has to be a dividing line between the things we can know about and the things that are just thought of as these ideas for, like, let's say, living on a globe. So you're lumping everything into one category, as in all of everything, plate tectonics, erosion. You're saying all of these things, and we're saying, wait a minute. On certain topics you're going to bring up, we have to divide the things that we can know and then the things that are not known, as far as like, have we discovered that going down into the earth, that the earth has like a core or mantle or any of the other things they talk about with the earth being a globe. Like that stuff right there is brought to you by, the educational system. And then now your mind's thinking of the earth in that way. So you're lumping it all together with like erosion and processes that we can observe, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm telling you is that you have to make a distinction between you go on, because you're trying to say these processes, if there's no means by which way they continue, then it's wrong to say the earth is flat. So I kind of get where you're going with that, but you have to really make sure, go one by one. If you're going to ask one thing, say, okay, let's talk about erosion, or let's talk about plate tectonics or whatever, then we can examine and expose why that information is not correct or it is, right? Like we can do it that way.
So how would volcanoes work on a flat earth?
The question is just, I'm sorry, but it sounds crazy, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
You're just repeating the same question like several times.
Hang on, I think AI wants to come in here. Usually when he gets on his mic. Go ahead.
Oh man. So the general idea about volcanoes is that there's deep underground rock, which is highly pressurized by the weight of the earth above it, right? And then it comes out when it reaches too much critical pressure. Okay. Now notice how nothing what I said has anything to do with the shape of the earth. As long as the high pressure is below the surface, that's sufficient. So the explanation on a globe Earth or a flat Earth is identical.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Thank you.
Yeah, so now you know the answer.
Yeah, thank you.
You'll find that a lot of the answers to these questions are the same. So, for example, the seasons. What's the cause of the seasons in the globe model? The relative position of the Earth and the Sun. What's the cause of the seasons in reality? The relative position of the Earth and the Sun. Yep. See? They just take it one step further and try to segue that somehow a globe is needed when it really isn't.
Is there measurements on the idea of a flat Earth?
Yes.
Like theorized?
In actual fact, it's required to navigate across the Earth that the Earth is flat. So, do you know what an angle is? Like 45 degrees, 90 degrees. You know what an angle is, don't you?
Yeah.
So you understand what celestial navigation is? It's measuring angles above the horizons to stars, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Okay, so you understand that to measure an angle, you require both of those lines to be straight, don't you? You couldn't measure 90 degrees, for example, if one of those lines was curved, could you?
Mm. Very true.
So if the Earth was a curved surface, we wouldn't be measuring angles to stars now, would we? So that's a direct measurement and utilage of the surface of the Earth, which is required to be level, horizontal, flat, so we can measure elevation angles to stars, not just one, but every single one of them, so we can navigate across the Earth. The Earth is required to be level in this instance. It's a direct measurement.
So, I have a quick question to inject here. So, I'm not trying to be critical of flat Earth or anything like that, but I was just wondering, how do you explain the fact that the stars move like throughout the years, like or throughout the seasons? Like how do the stars move?
Very simply, so the floor isn't moving and the stars are moving. I couldn't give you the mechanism for why they move, but they most definitely move. Do you want a mechanism? Is that what you're asking for? Because you can understand a floor
yes.
being... Yeah. So you can understand a floor being still, but things above it moving, like clouds, airplanes, in this instance, stars. Now, stars, as you said, are constellations. Constant, they return every year. They have cycles over 2, 5, 10 years. But I couldn't give you a mechanism. I couldn't even tell you what the stars are because I would have to go there and physically verify it for myself, right? But we can see the stars move. I guess the question would be, how has the Earth been measured to move itself? Well, the answer to that question is it hasn't.
Can I ask why it hasn't been measured? Pardon me. Sorry.
Because it's not moving. The Earth hasn't been measured to move because it's not moving, just akin to the Earth being a ball. It hasn't been measured to have curvature because it's not a ball.
I see. But how could you measure it as a flat Earth?
He already told
A
you.
flat Earth.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't listening. I
He already told you. Elevation angles,
I see.
celestial navigation, and where do you get your latitude lines from?
I'm not quite sure actually.
Elevation angles to Polaris. So the question then is again,
Sorry. What is Polaris?
the North Star.
It's a star.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Yeah. Feel stupid now.
What quantum erasure is talking about with latitude lines is to measure latitude lines. First instance, stand under the North Star, 90 degrees. Move away from that position. Look at the North Star behind you, 45 degrees. Keep going away from the North Star, 0 degrees above the horizon. That's where you get your equator from. Every divisional point between the equator and the North Pole, that's your latitude line.